Honorable
Speaker,
with
please.
all due respect, I don't think that is proper. We are not lecturing anybody. Let's allow him to make his interventions and then.
Thank you, member for Central Badibu. It's very wrong. What I'm saying here, Honorable Speaker, what I'm saying here, I have my facts. And these CRS members, they went through over the country, both internal and international, Honorable Speaker, to bring our views together to see Gambia first. What I'm saying here is, in a view of, they can bring out different ideas, but to cultivate with the culture of our nation and the traditionals that is going in Gambia. They can bring things, to guide themselves on what they are doing. Yes, I agree. But what I'm saying here is, the way the Kenyans written in their 2010 constitutions is the way they written it here. And if you allow me, I can read, Honorable Speaker. What the Jara Central is saying, that is Section 7 of the draft. That's Section 7, Subsection 3. The validation and the legality of the Constitution is a subject to the challenge by or before or any court of organ of the state. That is the draft. You go to the Kenya one, subsection 2, subsection 3, okay, reads, the violation and the illegality of the Constitution is a subject to challenge by any before or any court or other state of organ. It is some copy here. You goes to the supremacy of the Constitution 7 and 4. Here also is the same written here. What I'm trying to say here is, we are not governed by Kenya. Honorable Speaker, they can bring facts. I agree. But the same versions that is in the Kenya's constitution is the same version is applicable in our draft, which I don't agree. I am not a drafter. I agree. But what I see and understand is what I'm going to say. Honorable Speaker, nobody will cheat on my mind here because I have my facts. Then, Honorable Speaker, you go to Section 29 of the draft Constitution, which they have already done. Um, 29.3. 29.3. Yes, 29.3, yes. A person who has been dismissed or otherwise removed from the office of those relationships with an organ or agency of a state or a statutory body of state-owned enterprises has been terminated. Shall it goes. When I read here, Honorable Speaker, whoever did offend during your work in tenure, in office, when you are liable as a suspect on the corruption, you shall never work in the office, any offices. When you go to the African charters, that also talks about how to call it, how to guard the persons in office. Here, when somebody did something, we are all bound to make mistakes. When mistakes occurs to you, then the how to call it, you are taken as somebody who is defective. Then you are charged in responsibility what the law says. I agree, but that you will not work until the rest of your life. I don't think is a good idea. What I believed, though I'm not a drafter, but what I read and understand, I mean. Honorable Speaker, if you go to section 145 of the draft, because the way the election of the Speaker, and it is the same also, which is copied from the Kenya 2010. 106 of the Kenya 2010, 106, Honorable Speaker. Here, the system in Kenya doesn't apply in our country, though we need good governance. But what we are up to, we need to go a step what, whereby, you know, the children that are coming, our children that are coming and daughters can engage, can enjoy the constitutions that we are trying to prepare. But as at now, the level of Gambian governance is not where the Kenyan is. Honorable Speaker, what I'm saying here is the election of the Speaker of the House, 145 reads on the draft. Okay, 145. 145 subsection 2. The Speaker shall be elected by the members of the National Assembly from outside the National Assembly, in accordance with the standing order of the National Assembly, shall be a person who I'll go to okay, sorry, I'll come there again. Honorable Speaker, members also talked about the judiciary, how to call it, the Chief Justice appointment here. We are trying to establish separation of powers. We cannot be oversight on these institutions, at the same time giving their confirmations in the Parliament. For instance, if when election comes, we have the ruling parties in the Parliament. What will be our fate? It will almost politicized. Why can't we leave the judiciary independently? Justice comes to the right people, Honorable Speaker. There also is the same person from the draft to the Kenya. They can check the Kenyan constitution. Yes, we agree. But the culture and the traditions are not the same. They can cross-check and see how balanced it's going to be. This Kenya 2020 can guide them, whereby they have the expertise, how to bring things to our copy directly, which I'm not agree on, Honorable Speaker. If you check on that one also, the section 190 of this draft that we are dealing with, subsection 1, with the Kenya 2010 166 1. The Kenya one says, the President shall appoint the Chief Justice and the Deputy Chief Justice in accordance with the recommendation of the Judiciary Service Commission and subjected to the approval of the National Assembly. It's the same in the draft 1. We are not the same judiciary system. Honorable Speaker, we have 57 NAMs here. In past regime, It's only, sorry to say it, it's only APRC party militants which are full of in this parliament. So we don't want to repeat the same scenarios. We want to go away on those scenarios. Whatever the speaker said, or the speaker agree on, the entire members agree on. Or executive, whatever they put to the speaker and the National Assembly agree on. No, Honorable Speaker. Then there will be no separation of powers here. We want better Gambia, Honorable Speaker, but not better parties, Honorable Speaker. If it goes to the judiciary, the financial matters on the judiciary, that's section 198, subsection 1. This, I can still refer you again to the Kenya 2010. It's the same, Honorable Speaker. If you go to, again, the article, section 111 of the local government authorities to the safe volume. Honorable Speaker, here I'm just trying to bring questions. They will answer it, because I'm not a drafter. But what I can read and understand, section 211 of the local government authorities, safe volume, section 2, that gives the mandate, the press article, the safe volume to be elected. Yes, I agree. But in further, the way we are saying here is, whoever is elected, whoever is elected, you are there for life. Then there's a controversy on the 1997 Constitution, which is in valid one still now. We are using it, Honorable Speaker, because in the 1997 Constitution says you can vote and to be voted in. Then there is a discrimination here, because you cannot elect a CFO up to his life. Now, when that CFO knows that I won these elections, then I'm going to be a dictator. Those ones in that region, they will suffer. Then we are not doing justice to those citizens. You cannot rule forever. If there be elections, lest there be a tenure in office. But you cannot be a civil forever when you are elected by the people. Because man change constantly. He must change constantly. The reason why Africa we cannot go, this is the reason why. Overstaying in power. We want to remove that, Honorable Speaker, in Africa. Because civil also, they count a lot, because all these disputes in the local lands, civil are held responsible on this, Honorable Speaker. Either we know it or not, this is the truth. Whoever goes to elections, unless there be tenure in office, whereby when the time elapses, when the election needs you again, they can bring you back. Even here also, the same thing. You must work for the people on the command post, Honorable Speaker. Again, you go to the land holding of non-citizens. Here also, I want a question, answer here also too. Section 261, subsection B, Honorable Speaker, that 261. (261B). A title in the land under customary tenure, that the title and the land shall be deemed to the leasehold interest for the period of 50 years up the coming into force of the Constitution. That is here is the land holding by the non-citizens. Now, for instance, a non-citizen acquire a land and is already listed for industrial purposes. Here, the agreement how to gain that land is out of a period of 99 years, or already registered legally. How can you deny that, that non-citizens of going for 50 years land listing? Also, I need a clear person also that can make me convinced on that. Because we have seen our own citizens, they travel to abroad. Now they are no, they acquire identity there. And they are citizens. They get their, residence, which is conditional, Honorable Speaker. So, inviting our non-citizens also here, then acquire land, I don't think there should be a pressure on them. Then there will be no industry that will be available in our midst, Honorable Speaker. Now, what the member for Woolly West was trying to say here is the independent boundaries and electoral commissions. It's a copy from Kenya. Exactly the way they write it, not IEC. Here also the Kenyan one says 2010, section 88 of it is the same. We don't have the independent boundaries here, Honorable Speaker. I am not convinced. They can buy ideas everywhere, but it cannot be a common copy, Honorable Speaker. Because drafting laws are not easy. We all know it. Because they are interlinked. They are interlinked. But when drafting a laws, go by the way the citizens are, Honorable Speaker. Now, in fact, the reason why I even try to have speaking of mind is this 2010 constitution. Now in Kenya, they are challenging into High Court in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, this is my worry, because we are moving. The Kenyans knows that they are moving. This is what they are telling in court. What about us? We need to move too. You're going to get the same versions there. I'm not saying, I make myself clear, I'm not saying the entire book is the same, no. But the ones that I check, they are the same, Honorable Speaker. I said, I want to make myself clear that I'm worried. When this one is in the High Court, challenged by the citizens, there are no more educated Gambians. There will be a time also, they will also challenge it. And this is why Kenyans now are trying to rebuild the 2010 Constitution, Honorable Speaker. We are not dependent, we are independent. We cannot be still now using people's nature of life. No, Honorable Speaker. They went around anywhere. People make their recommendations, Honorable Speaker. It is put in this, because my constituencies, I engage many of them. They went there, yes. There are many people who bring their persons, but whether these persons are there or not, they are the ones who can interpret these laws, not me, and they are the legal ones. But what I feel as at now, our people are not happy with it. Sorry, my people. To be clear, because I cannot judge everybody's constituency. My people, because they said their versions was taken, but it was no more seen on the draft. And again, after this draft, they need to have to put it in the radio, in cassettes. What happens in 1997? I was not aware, but I heard it. Each one, you put it, because as far as people views, if you're trying to say, put it in cassette and make communication, because what are 65% of Gambians are not educated. Sorry to say. But this is the reality. Put it on a version whereby you can easily communicate the layman on the street, like me. Is that happen? I think honorable member for the nominated member, they said it here. Because he cannot read it. Now the person whereby he takes these books to read, if that guy cannot convince him, or the one that is inside the draft, then the guy is killing him. They should put it in a record form whereby people can read.
He wants to clarify the point.
No, but
maybe you misquoted her.
But Honorable Speaker, I'm not agreeing with you because you know why? She already raised the tag up. She don't say anything. You said she wanted to kill her. No, you cannot put that on her mouth.
She did. The tag was raised. That's
very
why
well. But she don't alter anything. She did alter. Okay, you cannot add on, Honorable. Carry on.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you very much, Ma. I think raising the tag means that I want to say something. Not so.
It was raised.
So what I'm saying is that it's just that I cannot read. I'm saying that it's not accessible for me to read. That's what I'm saying, but I didn't say that I cannot read.
Yeah, yes, I understand. What I'm saying here is you cannot read. You must take the book to somebody. But when it's in audio, you might easily listen and easily communicate. It's what I'm saying. Honorable Speaker. Okay, very well. Let me continue. Honorable Speaker, they must make us to understand, as far as they say we are not drafters. Let them make us to understand the ambiguity which we know that there are sections that we might think that it will affect our people. Let them make us to understand it. As far as they say we are not drafters. I have many members saying we are not drafters. But there are bills comes here. We delete or we insert how to call it, something there. Are we drafters then? And we are doing it. Honorable Speaker. If you go to the security service sectors, yes, there is also whereby the IG can be an independent body. As we know, the tradition here, that the IG is under a ministry which gave the command. Though I'm not a security trained officer, but commands must take from the highest to the level to the ladder. Honorable Speaker, the IG cannot be an independent body. There was a scenario, sorry to say, Faraba case. Thomas is the IG who gives the command. IG said he's not the command. He released the office. Honorable Speaker, let's put things in order, whereby we'll have better Gambia. Honorable Speaker, saying that two things or some things are in the Constitution that we should not read. I'm not saying it. But if I am convinced, I will support it. If I am convinced, I will support it. But if I am not, I will not support it. They must make things clear on my side, whereby I will support, because I am representing people. Whether they know it or not, whatever I did here, in the day of judgment, God will ask me, this what you say, this what you say. So I'm not looking, nobody I see. I will say what is in me and to kill that doubt. Either you label me any way you want it, it's left to you. Because our Prophet Muhammad was labeled badly, but it doesn't even stop him to prosper. Honorable Speaker, we all have interest on this draft. Nobody here doesn't have an interest in the draft. But the common good of Gambian, that we want to see, because we are the future leaders of this country, of this land. The old age are going, we are the young one. And I want to be a president. Yes, Honorable Speaker. They are going. Honorable Speaker. And we want better Gambia. If this draft is good, he can serve here for 100 years, for 50 years. Nobody will touch it. Unless there are ones that you're going to amend, which will suit the entire public. But we need a better one, whereby it can serve a long duration. Honorable Speaker, I know you are saying, but let me just wrap up. The armed forces also, Honorable Speaker. There was a issue here when we are trying to nominate the commander of chiefs, something like that, Honorable Speaker. And we said it doesn't explain much thing on the 1997 Constitution. But here also, I have not seen the armed forces is catered here as a body, whereby they will function their duties, Honorable Speaker. Because if you see it, it's just 286, then it stops here. All the other functions in 1997 Constitution are not there. And we said it's not sufficient to use the 1997 Constitution. But this one also doesn't explain more on the armed forces. And it's a built one, Honorable Speaker. Now, what I need a thorough explanation whereby they can convince me to support the draft, Honorable Speaker. Nonetheless, I haven't given much time, and this is my position. I am well convinced, and I will raise my hand to support it. But if I am not, I will not. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Lower Nyomi.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Let me applaud the last speaker for having made a very extensive research to try to annul the efforts of the CRC. If he thinks, or if it is in line for us to feel that we could be very independent in the way we think without having other ideas, then we're in trouble. I want to also applaud the work, the magnificent work done by this body. This is not an easy task, even if you cut and paste. We have to recognize, respect, and give regard to what we have. When we were preparing this document, the standing orders, I'm sorry, we did not tell you, but you must have learned that we cut and pasted a lot of things from Uganda, the same Kenya, Ghana, and also Britain. You cut and paste so that you could increase your knowledge. They have done a very good job. At least they have moved us from a doctored document for 55 times to somebody that we are just now saying they cut and pasted. That's gratis. If I would jump to the first appreciation of this move, it would be where the parliament would help the president to confirm his appointment or his nomination of a minister. You know why? If some of you could remember 3 stars, I don't know whether you can remember that. A minister saying 3 stars. You remember? That minister was appointed by the president When he came here, the first time, when he left, he was removed. We are doing this, these people have done this to help the president. It's not a sabotage. This is to help the president. The name of the president is the name of the country, part of which we have a responsibility. If the president is up there, he has a good name. The parliament has a good name. If you see it in a very dark way, it goes like that. That is how you're going to tell the people. This is not that. It is not that. We help the president. You know, people are querying about the advisors of the president. If he had consulted parliament on the appointment of these advisors, he was not going to get this type of people. He was not going to get that. And then, what is the name now? You know, anything that is said to the president is said to the parliament. You, your people, your country, your president. This is it. We share it. This is why we should take part and very good parcel of this responsibility. We are. If the president just goes to nominate anybody, you wake up in the morning, who is the Minister of Women Affairs? Is Bakari. 3 days later, who is the Minister of Women Affairs? Is Dembo. Things would be changing in such a way that you would not even... This was what was happening the last time. People could not keep track of the changes as they were coming.
But in parliament, you know, in parliamentary procedure, I don't think allows you to call them by names. Maybe you can just get Mr. X or Mrs. Y or whatever, and not refer to honorable members by their names.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am sorry. My other contention or my other observation, last year, September, we lost a brother, a friend, a colleague. September, January, we lost a colleague. Up to this day, the Independent Electoral Commission has not organized any by-election. What is the problem? The type of people the president picks and put in position should be vetted. They should be vetted. If they come here, we vet them. Tomorrow, we can tell them, you are not doing that. But we are left to that. We are left to that. Any name, bad or good, that the president bears is our responsibility. We partake of it, whether we like it or not. We are moving. The member for Birkama South, Birkama North, made a series of quotations of the processes of constitutional building. Before independence in 1965, after independence, up to this one we are discussing right now. And in all this, he had highlighted that these were the processes that were taken. And when he came to the last one, 1997, 23 years back, he said Parliament was never involved. So that's where the doctor started. In fact, when it was doctored, it never went back. It was just thrown for referendum. And then what do we have? People are expressing their dissatisfaction. If ever we think we can get any document that is going to satisfy our complete need, we are mistaken. We are done for. No one. Even God who created us, we question him. Why did you give this man this and you did not give me this? Why did you bill me this way? We are questioning that. We take that as a nature, but we are not going to take it as a contention that you would go to reject this. This is a golden opportunity.
Point of observation. It's like we are really deviating from the... Okay.
You have a point of observation?
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. And honorable member for Lower Nyomi. Sure he did. You off your mic.
You see, the issue is he has to give you permission. You need permission from him.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I am not allowing you. Sit down.
Point of order, ma. Point of order.
Quote your relevant section.
Section 29.
29
of the standing orders.
Just a second.
Yes. Clause 29 of the standing orders.
Content of speeches.
Yes. It says every member shall restrict his or her observation to the subject under discussion. And what we are discussing is about the merits and the principles of the draft bill, but not about what he is saying, beating around the bush.
I think I will overrule that. You will appreciate that we are also discussing the principles. The principles, and no, you made your point. You made your point. The discussion centers around the yes, my mic is on.
Your point is?
No. That's not proper procedure. You were on your feet, he raised a point of order. He raised a point of order. Yes, thank you. Now, Honorable, what I am saying is we are discussing, or the debate centers around the principles and merits of the bill. If I get him right, he is talking about the general principle and merit of vetting of appointments, whether it is right or it is wrong, but that's how I see it. And I think, no, I will not prolong the debate on that. I will allow him to continue, and I'll overrule on that. No, Honorable, sorry.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. If I may
Honorable Member
continue.
For Basse, are you presiding or what? No. That's what I am allowing him to please proceed. Thank you.
So this constitution is a reaction to the many flaws that are seen to have appeared, or that are known to have appeared in the 1997 Constitution. There are translated versions of this Constitution which are already distributed, as I understand. And therefore, that would go to enhance the understanding of the people with regards all the provisions of the draft Constitution. So it means the people are going to know before we arrive there to tell them. So we would have a problem. You would start talking negative, the people will start challenging on positive. And then they will know the extent of your misunderstanding of the Constitution or the draft Constitution. With the separation of power, it is very necessary that it is as it is provided, because it would help us. None or a few of us did talk about the proposed autonomy of the parliament, which perhaps is going to help us tomorrow not to lean too much on the executive. We would be having that authority, that mandate. We are supervisors. If we are given the authority, if our institution is independent, fair, then we would have more powers in the way we are going to be governing ourselves and adopting our oversights. Therefore, it is very necessary that we have this type of constitution which is going to stand us, give us a lean in our work. Madam Speaker, the implementation flaw is going to be the problem. The implementation is going to be the problem. Because the individuals who are going to implement this constitution would need to understand, know, comprehend it to their fingertips. That would be the way they will be able to understand how they would be able to interpret it and then implement it. I read that there is a change from the Gambia Police Force to the Gambia Police Service. We would start to tell our people, or we would start to think out, so that even when we go out of the house today, we would start talking about the police service, not the police force, so that they see themselves in that way. And therefore, the police would need to be upgraded, capacitized, so that they will know the functions between the force and the service.
Honorable, sorry, can I just interrupt? This is not on parliamentary issues, but more on health issues. I observe that some of us are not putting on our face masks, and we have been advised, especially when you're on the floor. So please, can we adhere, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. You can proceed.
Once again, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I have made another observation, which is in the citizenship area. This is an area that needs a very thorough studies, a very thorough interaction, so that those who are in the forefront of preparing these documents for citizenship would understand what their roles are, or what their roles would be in coming up with the confirmation or in conformity to what the provision is. The other flaw is, Madam, if these local languages that are going to be used in the national languages, sorry, thank you. If the national languages are going to be used after 5 years, why after 5 years? Why? Why after 5 years? That is the question. If it is going to be, what is the essence of the change then? What is the essence of having it even in? We stand to question that. Decentralization is another area that is very essential, very necessary. Our councils, our municipalities are crying foul because they are being marginalized by government. And that is not helping. The impact is not going to be felt by the councils themselves, but even if they feel the impact is going to be much more felt down. No provision is going to be made for the people. Because just as it is for COVID, everything, well, government does not provide us with this. We don't have, even if they have the funds. Madam Speaker, so far, thank you very much. I wish to give my tacit support to this document without an omission.
Honorable Member for Nyanija.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Never rest. Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Though I never rest, but since you give me the opportunity, I'll just make the best use of it and then join my colleagues to thank, first of all, the Ministry of Justice, who came up with the idea and introduced a bill here in the National Assembly to enact the CRC Act. And of course, I thank the Commission, that is the Constitutional Review Commission, for the tremendous job they've done. They have definitely consulted all. They have been to every district, and also even outside the Gambia to consult Gambians about how they want to be governed. So definitely, I thank you people. Honorable Speaker, what is before us here is the draft Constitution 2020, a bill to promulgate the 1997 Constitution. Honorable Speaker, first of all, what we need to ask ourselves is, when we were enacting the CRC Act, what were we thinking of? What did we want it? And that was exactly the functions that we stipulated in the Act, the functions of the Commission. And to my knowledge, I think they have done what they're supposed to do. Now, the ball is in our court as MPs who gave them that task to go around and come up with this document. So definitely, I thank the CRC through the Ministry of Justice. So, honorable members, like I said, the draft bill is before us. And to me, before I take any position on this, as the mover of the motion, definitely I need certain clarifications from you, because there are a lot of talks in town, talking a lot from the secularity to other issues. So I definitely want to be enlightened on that. The issue of the secularity, how is it addressed here? Because there are still some so-called elites, I will say, who are taking this in different dimensions. So I'm a bit lost. Where will I be? Should I see the word secular in the Constitution, or should I just not see it and support it? So definitely I want to be enlightened on that. So the other point that I will also raise is regarding this too much of rights. Definitely we are moving, we are progressing from one step to the other, but let us also remember our cultures and values as a nation. Definitely, I was born and brought up in the village, and the way I was born and brought up, and the way I should behave in society and so on, definitely it's something which you know that I opt to uphold until my last breath on this land. So definitely, I have seen so much specified here, right to life, right to so on, right to so on. So I just have a simple question, Honorable Minister. These rights that are stipulated here, others are saying these are westernization, these are Western modern thinking and so on. This does not depict the values and ethos and value of our people here. So what do you have to say about that before I take my position? Can you please enlighten us and enlighten Gambians? How is this addressed here? The other thing, Honorable Speaker, that I will want the Honorable Mover of the motion to also help, it's like other members are talking like people are already going to against this because of a particular provision that says this current term of this incumbent is to be counted as his fourth term if this is enacted. So, Honorable Speaker and the Honorable Minister, mover of the motion, on that note too, can you please enlighten us and explain to us better what is best? Because what I understand from my view, it's like the 1997 Constitution is what the current president was elected on. So now, if we are to have a new Constitution, having a 7th clause capturing the current term of the incumbent as his first term, how do you see that? How do you see that? So if you better explain to me, then I can make a position. So regardless of other things that other members have raised, I think I just need to save the time of the assembly and stop here. Like I said earlier, thank the CRC, thank the Ministry of Justice, and also thank this National Assembly, because everything begins here and everything is here now. So thank you very much.
Honorable Member for Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to commence my intervention by posing the question: is this Constitution a perfect document? I will not hesitate to respond that no, it is not. Emphatically, no. There is no constitution in the whole world that is perfect in the sense that it is exhaustive, it is complete, it addresses the concerns of governance, of representation at all times. So this constitution is not a perfect document that is before us. And that is the reason why we have amendments. Parliamentary amendments and referenda by the population. Because the document, this working document, cannot be exhaustive. This takes me to my second point. Is this document before us? The Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia 2020 Promulgation Bill 2020 better than the one it is seeking to replace, that is the existing 1997 Constitution. Better in the sense of being more progressive, being more adequate in terms of addressing the issues of governance, of rights. I would again not hesitate to say yes. Honorable Speaker, after having expended millions of dollars, immense resources, so much time, hope, expectation, resulting in the production of this document that is before us. I think we have a duty to dispense with it judiciously. As I indicated earlier, what is before us better than what it is seeking to replace? By the way, the 1997 Constitution, when it was promulgated, was somewhat fit for purpose at the time. Although, as had been indicated by the member for Serakunda, some people were calling it a military constitution, which I disagreed with. Of course, it had been diluted. In fact, I was arguing when the issue of having a new constitution was brought before this assembly, that there was a shorter, less expensive, less time-consuming approach or route to take. That is for the assembly to identify all those progressive provisions that were removed from it, bring them back, and remove all the obnoxious provisions that were injected into it. But of course, the assembly decided to take this route, And of course, it serves the same purpose at the end of the day. By the way, I would want to commend the CRC for having discharged the responsibility given to them by this National Assembly to go and engage in consultation, in research, to bring before us a document which our governance is going to anchor on. A model law, a constitution that is going to guide this country for a long period. Of course, not ruling out amendments here and there when it is necessary to do so during the course of time. If you look at the work that have been done by the CRC, particularly the report that has been given to us, presented, you can see that a lot of consultation had taken place and that they have explained what they have been able to elicit from those consultations and what they have also agreed as a commission to finally put together to constitute this draft constitution that is before us. As I said, they have done what we expected, and that's commendable. You can see in the report, they have given the genesis of constitutional development in this country, which, according to the report, started since 1765, when Gambia, or parts of the Gambia, were settled by British colonialists, or was occupied by the British colonialists. It was since then that Gambia had been experiencing constitutional development, coming up to where we are. Of course, pre-independence, post-independence, attempts to develop constitutions. Having said that, there are still issues that one can argue or one may wish to have seen captured in this document that are key in enlarging the democracy that we've already started experiencing, protecting and guaranteeing rights, ensuring accountable and transparent representation, and so on and so forth. I may start with Chapter 1 on the Republic. I also want to say that the member for Serakunda had adequately and succinctly dealt with most of the issues, which I don't think I may be able to repeat. But as I said, notwithstanding the efforts being made by the CRC in presenting us with this draft, there are issues that I definitely would have loved to see addressed. Let's start with the sovereignty. They maintain that Gambia is a sovereign state, as it is in the current 1997 constitution, that the Gambia is a multi-party democratic state founded on respect for the rule of law and the national values and principles of governance enshrined in this constitution. It also goes to say, talk about the multi-faith dimension that is recognized by the constitution. The argument they've advanced, that if you look at clause 88 and clause 153 of the draft document, constitution, it guarantees the right to religion. But Gambia, as has been argued, is a secular state. So, and I am really not convinced with the explanation advanced by the CRC for not having put secular there. There's a lot of argument around, but you can understand. I believe that if they had done so prior to omitting it and then bringing it back, if they had done so in the at the initial stage, I don't think it would have generated the furor, the noise that it ended generating. So, and of course, these are just to allay the concerns, the fears of Gambians who have legitimate concerns. And I don't want to call any Gambian a minority. We are all sovereign. I don't recognize any minority religion as minority. I don't recognize any ethno-linguistic grouping as minority. I don't recognize, of course, in gender terms, you can count. There's a majority and minority in terms of gender. But the reason why I'm saying this is that sovereignty is sacrosanct, should be sacrosanct. Each and every one of us is sovereign. We may have our different beliefs. We may agree to belong to a particular ethnic grouping. These are rights. Anybody can call yourself anything that you want, can have any faith. This is your right. But when it comes to governance, when it comes to sovereignty, when it comes to nationhood, we are all equal. But notwithstanding, they have rights. And of course, as a National Assembly member, as a representative of the people, there are some groups that had made representation to me, raising concerns. We should not dismiss the concerns. Of course, as I said, 88 and 153 guarantees addresses their concerns. But what stopped us from just adding it there? It makes no harm. So I think this is, I will not call it, inadvertent omission on the part of the commission, that they should have done so. It would not have generated the noise that it eventually generated. The polluted arguments. I just don't want to describe some of the proponents of those arguments, but very negative. Chapter 2 talks about the Constitution and the law, the supremacy of the Constitution, defense of the Constitution by citizens, enforcement of the Constitution by citizens and the state organs, and the laws. Chapter 3 dwells on what is a new element, and these are the beautiful things, the novelties, as far as Gambia is concerned, because they're talking about taking from elsewhere. But that's what the world is all about, best practice. I don't think we should really fault that. We should object to Gambia taking anything that is good from anywhere and bring it, more so Africa, within Africa. Best practice, the principle of best practice, if we accept that. So, of course, in terms of legality, what is wrong is plagiarizing and then not acknowledging it. and lawyers are here, they understand that. And not only lawyers, but for us, law is not the sole preserve of lawyers. Because at the end of the day, each and every one of us must be convinced that justice is done and seen to be done. If that is not done, then there is no justice. So, best practice should be accepted. So this is one, like I said, this is one of the beauties of it, of the draft constitution, national values and principles being encapsulated, being captured. The thorny issue of citizenship. It has been argued by everyone here that most Gambians whose sustenance is partly being supported by Gambians in the diaspora are getting that support because of the status of those Gambians in those countries. And it has been said that some of them, they would even pray, give sacrifice for their status to be regularized, for them to have all the entitlements of citizens in those countries. And yet Gambians, people who are born here, their parents have left their countries of origin a long time ago. They're born here, you are denying them the right to become citizens. I just cannot understand that. You're denying them the right to become citizens. And as you know, international law does not recognize a stateless person. And some of them are virtually reduced to that. They are stateless. They are born here, registered. Not as registered as citizens, but I mean they're born in the Gambia. If you look at their birth certificates, I think, in fact, I was even confused. Somebody showed me the other day that there is something that is put there. I think this is a letter that is put there. I just cannot remember. But that shows that this person is not a Gambian, but it should be a birth certificate. So I think we really need to come over this, honorable colleagues. Let us accept that any person who is born in this country becomes a citizen. That is what is human. That is what is just. The person with conscience would readily accede to that. That any person born in this country should become a citizen. If you can accept somebody who is born here and you don't know the parents, at a given period the person automatically becomes a citizen. Why don't you allow that for? And the reasons that are advanced in the report, according to the report, well, through their engagements, they said because of resources. What resources do we have? We have not even harnessed our resources. We said because of resources, if we do that, they will come and share with the resources, bigger resources. We don't even have, where are the resources? We have resources, we have the potential, the country, we have the wealth is in the country, but it's latent, it's not exploited, it's not there. And even if it is there, after all, you are going scrambling, you're going to other countries, benefiting from those countries and then supporting those who are here. And I'm telling you, the majority of families here who are depending on the remittances from Gambians in the diaspora, they are doing so thanks to those countries' accommodation, tolerance for immigrants, to immigrants rather. So why don't we extend the same thing here? So it is really an irony. It doesn't make sense. And it's not humane, to say the least. So that argument is not tenable. We don't have resources. If the resources are so meager, if they come, they are going to scramble. We might end up, losing the so-called indigenes. So there would be no floodgate. In fact, these are some of the issues that I would want us to really consider and revisit, as had been argued by the member for Serakunda we have not seen what is entrenched and what is non-entrenched. But for the non-entrenched ones that we can consider and pass as a National Assembly, well, this is something that we can even pass and then transform into an entrenched clause. Citizenship. It is there. Citizenship is entrenched in the 1997 Constitution. Once a citizen, always a citizen. It's a right. It's a birthright. And that's what the law says. Once you are your right, once you acquire the right, nothing can dispossess you from that right. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of leadership and integrity, this is a new element brought into the Constitution by the CRC, and it is really a novelty as far as constitutions in the Gambia are concerned. So it is highly welcome. We need to have principles. We need to have guidelines, expectations for those in positions of leadership. Because for me, leadership, as far as governance is concerned, is nothing other than service. You are just a servant, nothing else. You are not a lord, you are not a mansa, you are not a bur. You are a servant. We are all servants. National Assembly members, President, members of the cabinet, civil service. We are all servants of the people. But we need to have benchmarks, guides. Integrity is one of them. Responsibility is another. And our conduct, in both at the level of the official capacity and also the unofficial capacity. We must at all times guide against our integrity, anything that spoils our integrity. That is chapter 5. Chapter 6 deals with fundamental human rights. And the other good thing also is that the series of rights that have been introduced into the new draft constitution is a series of them. And I really appreciate it. On chapter 8 is the executive. Like I said, this is more detailed, more explicit than the 1997 Constitution. Chapter 8 is the executive, the introduction of the term limit. It's also a positive development. Like I said, when you have two things, because at the end of my presentation, I'm going to, that's what I'm going to conclude with. But when you have two things, and then you have to choose, comparison, you look at the qualitative elements, which is more of quality, which is more progressive. And this is what qualifies this draft constitution to be more progressive. One of the reasons why this draft constitution is more progressive than the other one, because of these rights that it had enumerated, covering almost so many things. The chapter 9 is the legislature. What I have not seen, of course, the role of the speaker has been defined, the role of the majority minority leaders have been defined, but the role of the National Assembly member is not defined. And I believe it should, because the National Assembly members, of course, including the majority minority leader, the speaker, we are all part of the equation. We are all part of the game-changing equation. So it is important to define it. Of course, in the instance of recall, there are conditions that in the absence of those conditions, you can be recalled. So the positive element of those, the presence of those, can be captured to describe the role of a National Assembly member. It is important. It has to reflect this document. The element of confirmation of appointments to key positions which require independence being subjected to the approval of National Assembly. This is a novel. This is something we should applaud. A step in the right direction. Of course, there are some arguments I've had that, well, we need to be empowered. We are empowered. We are just not emphasizing it. We are just not asserting. But this 1997 Constitution empowers this National Assembly. We have all the authority. It's just that we are not asserting our authority. But this one is, goes further. And I hope we're not going to allow this, or those that are coming, whoever coming back again, that when this constitution comes into force, we need to enforce it. Autonomy is integral, it's part of it. We have to be autonomous. So, this document, this before us, this draft constitution, also comes to enforce that independence, that authority of the National Assembly. What I've also seen missing is that we are not encouraging crime, we are not supporting impunity, but National Assembly members need immunity. This is what happens in other jurisdictions, and this is absent in this constitution. There's only immunity when you are coming from, if you leave your house to the National Assembly during sessions and going back. Nobody should stop you. Anybody who stops you commits an offense. But immunity should be throughout the period of your tenure. If it is 5 years, it's 5 years. And that does not mean impunity. If you commit something that deserves prosecution, there are procedures. They can apply to the National Assembly, they can unveil your immunity, as is happening in other jurisdictions. So I just don't know. And in our interface, in our engagements with the CRC, the National Assembly members, this was an issue we have been impressing on them, that National Assembly members need immunity. Because you've seen what had been happening in the last year with the dispensation. National Assembly members. So we need this immunity. It is not impunity. Let me not be mistaken. I am not talking about impunity. If any National Assembly member commits a crime that should be prosecuted, you should be prosecuted. But it has to, because you are wielding something. You are a trustee. You are entrusted with power. You are an embodiment of the power of the people, the population. So it should not be that easy. But it's missing. So this is something we really need to consider. Honorable Speaker, on the judiciary, as I said, some Gambians who have legitimate concerns also made representation, arguing that the use of the word Sharia and the Sharia High Court, in fact the question was that are we having parallel legal systems? The High Court there, you have the normal High Court and then the Sharia High Court. And for them, they feel that, well, it is not something that is protecting their rights. And mind you, these are not people exclusively from a religious denomination. They are across the board. They are concerned citizens from the religions. Christians are there, Muslims are there. Yes. They feel that this is something that they have been talking about, and they are really concerned. And if you look at the draft constitution, if you look at the 1997 constitution, it talks about the Kadi court. So the question is, why can't we continue with the Kadi court arrangement? And in fact, in this constitution, if you look at the provision, there is somewhere that Muslim is mentioned. Muslims, it affects Muslims. But here, that is missing. So that's also something that, that elicits despair. And it's legitimate. That's legitimate. So I think when we are revisiting the Constitution, we'll need to look into that to allay fears. Or it has to be explained very clearly by us National Assembly members, if they can convince us. The Honorable Attorney General is here. This is just a concern that some people are raising. On the issue, chapter 11, on decentralization, you see, in the independence struggle, what the likes of Edward Francis Small and his ilk, who really started the process leading towards independence, democratization, empowerment of workers. What they were talking about, no taxation without representation. But what we have here, particularly in regards to councils, they're collecting taxes and are not giving services. And there was a time when some people were even saying, and there is sense in this, no payment of taxes without services. During the parliament, it was representation, no taxation without representation. That is what has resulted to us, our existence. I mean, the existence of this institution. That the person I'm entrusting my money to manage, I should have a say in who I'm going to entrust. And that is what all election is all about. That is what political office is all about. No representation without taxation. But coming down at the level of services, councils have to be rendering services. They are collecting taxes from the population. Excuse is not government is not supporting us. They are collecting resources. They are collecting money from the population. And this has to be translated into services. Cleansing services, collection, regular collection of waste, disposal, how to call it, appropriate disposal of waste. And other services, there are so many amenities that councils should be, according to the law, they should be providing. But it's taxation without services. It has to change. It has to reflect here. It's incumbent on them to be rendering services. It's a right. I am paying tax. I have a right to benefit from services from my tax money. So it has to be captured so that councils will also be very effective in terms of providing services from what they are collecting from the people. And the other thing, in other countries, in other jurisdictions, at the level of council, I don't see why Gambia should not allow non-Gambians to be voting in council elections because they are paying tax. This is what is happening in Scandinavia, in some parts of Europe. Municipal council, municipal elections. Every person, every taxpayer participates because of the element, that essence, that principle of no taxation without representation. So what stops us from introducing that? You'll get more resources if they'll be paying. So it will even address the issue of tax evasion at that level. On the judiciary, I also missed a point. That is, I have seen that the Honorable Attorney General is here, that now the Constitution is proposing 48 hours. That it shouldn't be detained beyond 48 hours before it is being brought before a court of law. For me, what I thought, 72 hours is here. So what I thought was that if you are arrested, if a person is arrested on a Friday evening or afternoon when work is closed, you are supposed to be brought before a court on Sunday. And Sunday is not a working day. So I believe the reason why they said 72 hours was if you are apprehended on Friday, after working hours, 72 hours. By Monday, you must be brought before a magistrate or whoever. I think in this case it's a magistrate, before a court of law for bail. So I just don't know whether this was well, anyway, I need Honorable Attorney General, that is something that I want to bring to your attention. And this is how I understood it to be. And there's also this issue of registration of voters, continuous registration of voters. The reason why the registration of voters was done on a program basis, on a timely basis, that is for general registration and supplementary registration, every 2 years supplementary registration, and then you have every 4 years, I guess. If no, 8 years, no, it's not 8 years. For general, no, it's not 8 years. But anyway, every 2 years, you have supplementary registration for those who have reached the age of 18 years. The beauty is that the tradition that we have here, and I think it still can work, is that you need scrutiny of the process. Those that are going to be issued with voters' card must be eligible to be issued with voters' card. And this process cannot only be done by the officials of the Independent Electoral Commission, political parties, civic society organizations, civic groups, observers, independent observers must be involved in the process to ensure that it is transparent, it is scrutinized. Those who deserve to be issued a card are issued a card. But if you make it open on a continuous basis, that any time somebody can go to the IEC to register, I think that's a challenge. I would wish that we retain what exists. To be doing it on a regular basis. After 2 years, you have the registration, how to call it? Supplementary registration, and then general registration. I think that is what is going to serve our purpose in terms of ensuring that the process is transparent, and it is only those who are eligible who get voters' card to vote.
Honorable Member for Banjul North, I don't know how far.
No, very soon.
Are you almost done?
I'm almost here, winding up, yes. Thank you. This is the best possible working document that we can get under the circumstance. And as I said, I have been emphasizing, it is better than what exists in terms of protection of rights, guaranteeing rights, in terms of representation, transparent representation, accountable representation, in terms of participation, democratic participation, in almost all the yardsticks that one can bring forth. This new document is more advanced. In the absence of this, what do we have? We're going to continue with this. This document that some people were calling a soldier's constitution, which as I said, I would not agree to. It has not been a soldier's constitution. It was a democratic, it's a constitution with democratic content. It had provisions that empower the people, make the people sovereign. You have organs of state that should be working to serve the interests of the people, to advance the development of this country. But as I said, we are coming to a point where we have had an experience. I want to go to another stage, and which we call the Third Republic, if this passes, how to usher in the Third Republic. I believe this document is well placed to usher in the Third Republic. This document is well placed to usher in the Third Republic. Of course, if our concerns, the concerns that we've raised here, the legitimate concerns, are captured and factored in it, where they could, to be captured and factored. Other than that, we're going to continue with this, having a presidency, perpetual presidency, without any term limit, first past the post, where the majorities will does not determine the day, because it's first past the post. And then some of the challenges we are grappling with, as you know. So I would just want the colleagues to reconsider that a lot of resources had been spent on this, the energy, ideas. The CRC had done a very good job. National Assembly too had also risen up to the challenge by realizing the need to have such a fundamental law, a working document to guide the governance process of this country for the foreseeable future. As I said, we have highlighted some of the deficiencies. If they could be addressed, it's fine. But I am really fine with us moving forward with this draft constitution that we call, the bill that is before us, the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia 2020 Promulgation Bill 2020. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member. Honorable members, you will realize that it's getting to 6 o'clock, and tomorrow is already scheduled for the President's address before Parliament, and we are all aware that the chambers, needs to be fixed, and the staff will have to come and rearrange. So I am proposing that we adjourn today's sitting, because actually the debate was scheduled for 2 days, but because we lost Tuesday, that's why we're still here. So I am proposing that we adjourn and continue the debate maybe on Monday next week, together with the debate on the presidential address. So if that is agreeable, I will put the question. Thank you. Sorry, just a second. I have to follow. Where are my papers? I cannot adjourn without thanking everybody for their cooperation and patience, including the press, and of course the Honorable Minister for Justice, who's been with us since morning, and of course also members of the CRC. I can see Mrs. Ture from here, and Mrs. Sow and Kamara. They've been with us all day, and other members of the CRC. And I wish to thank all of them for coming and hearing the concerns raised by honorable members. Then I now put the question, be it resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned till Thursday the 17th of September 2020 for the State of the Nation Address 2020 by His Excellency the President of the Republic at 10 a.m. prompt. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. The Assembly now stands adjourned till Thursday, the 17th of September 2020 at 10 a.m. I think honorable members are expected to be seated by 9 o'clock or 9:30. Thank you. This time around, I don't think we'll have any issue with the security apparatus because of the limits. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey,